Hey guys, so in this series I want to give you some advice about taking a taxi in Istanbul, because you need to listen to this advice and take advantage of the tips I'm going to give you today. Firstly, in Istanbul, 100% you're going to face challenges at some point with a taxi driver. Unfortunately, they are very scrupulous and they take advantage of the tourists. So I want to share with you some tips today. So if you come to Istanbul, use this as a guide and then you'll be perfectly fine. So on the subject of taxis, first of all, the biggest tip that I have for you is that when you enter a taxi, make sure the meter is on. It's the law in Istanbul and Turkey that the meter must be on for all passengers before taking off, okay? If the meter is not turned on and they give any type of excuse, get out the taxi or refuse to continue with the journey. Drivers will use every trick in the book, saying that their meter is not working, or in this location where we're picking you up from or where we're taking you to, the meter doesn't apply. It's all a lie. The meter has to be turned on. My next advice is just before you enter a taxi, take a picture of the license plate, and also once you enter the taxi, on the dashboard there is a license number for every taxi driver. Make sure you take a picture of that for future reference, because trust me, there will be an occasion that you will need to have their license number to raise a complaint, which I will talk about later. Whenever taking a ride, always make sure you use Google Maps to mark your destination and see how long it takes and what journey you have to go through. Because many, unfortunately, unscrupulous taxi drivers will go on a detour route to take more money from you. Because don't forget, they're working on a meter. It's not like a Uber app or any other taxi app. So make sure you use Google Maps. I will show you how to use Google Maps without having any data, because that's one of the other challenges that most tourists have, not only visiting Istanbul, but every country they don't have data. I will show you how to download Google Maps and use it without any need for data. But make sure you always type in your destination wherever your origin is from to track which route you're taking. If you face any challenges, confront the driver. If you see he's getting aggressive, then you have to go to the next level and make a complaint. And I will show you how to make a complaint. Depending on whether you're living in the Asian or the European side, you're going to be crossing over tunnels or bridges. This has an additional toll charge. In addition to the meter reading, when you finally get to your destination, they will add a toll charge on top. Now, depending on when you watch this video, the toll charges go up and down. So rather than me announcing the toll charges, I'll give a link where you can check the latest toll charges. But the main important thing is this: you only pay toll charge one way, unless you've asked the driver to take you both ways. You need to take you to the destination, wait, pick you up, and then go back to origin. You only be charged toll charge for one way, and make sure it's the correct charge and they're not charging you extra. The trick is that they will often tell you that, oh, because we're taking you to, for example, the European side from the Asian side, we're going to be coming back empty, so we have to charge you for both ways. It's a lie, and it's against the law. So again, be aware. If you face any challenges, confront the taxi driver first. If you see he's being aggressive, then because you've got his license number and license plate, you can make a complaint using the email address which I put in the caption below. And they're very spontaneous. You give all the information, the car registration number, the license plates, and they will reply and they will follow up. Where possible, pay by credit card or debit card. Most taxi drivers have the machines. Don't pay by cash, and the reason why is often the case is that taxi drivers will use fake money to give you change. And at that moment when you're in a rush to get out the taxi and continue with your journey, the last thing is for you to check the currency, and also you may not have the expertise to discover at that point whether they've given you fake money. But unfortunately, they are unscrupulous and they're using every trick in the trade to get your money. The question then remains is that what other options are there to taking a taxi? Well, the first option is local transport, public transport, in terms of buses, metros, and the ferry journeys that you can take. It's the best and most economical and guaranteed route, because no one is going to take advantage of you. But they're not always so easily accessible, and they can be very busy, particularly at peak times. But that is the cheapest and the safest way to travel around, and to be honest, one of the best ways to travel around Istanbul. The other alternative is car rental. Car rental is a great option because it gives you flexibility, and it also works out a lot more cheaper, particularly if you're taking multiple trips during the day using a taxi. The only downside in using a car rental company is the issues around traffic and parking. So be aware of that. If you're okay with it, then continue with your option of renting a car. As I said, the main challenge is parking, because parking is very expensive, but we have IS Parking in Istanbul, which is a government-operated and controlled parking management company. Use their parking and search in Google and go to the nearest IS Parking lot, because they'll be a lot more cheaper, safer, and they have 24-hour on-site security. Traffic is something that you cannot get away with. Even if you take a taxi, you're going to be stuck in traffic. So I tend to take that option, or that, if you like, negative out of my mind. It's all about parking. Most hotels will have parking at an extra fee, but generally speaking, when I come to Istanbul, I always rent a car, and I always happen to find a parking space on the side streets, and I don't pay anything. It just depends on how flexible you are. But for me, car rental has always been the number one option, particularly if you're traveling around between the European and the Asian side continuously. Like me, foodie, I'm always going to different restaurants and coffee shops, so for me, it's the much better, more flexible option. We also have the option of taxi apps or Uber. Uber is great in Istanbul and all over the world. But unfortunately, again, the unscrupulous taxi drivers in Istanbul take advantage of the naivety of some of the tourists that come to Istanbul. So the great thing with Uber is its accessibility. It's easy to use, convenient, and can be relatively economical, particularly in countries like Istanbul, where it can be very expensive, particularly now in the last year or so. The downside to Uber or other taxi apps is that when you make a request and you enter your origin and destination, it will give you a fixed price or a range of the minimum and maximum for cost of that journey. But what happens is that it's a great thing, because you know in advance how much it's going to be, which is brilliant, and it gets deducted from your credit card, which is brilliant. But the problem that we have in Istanbul is drivers, what they do is, as soon as you make a request, you've already entered your origin and destination, but they'll send you a direct message and they'll say, where are you located? And you think to yourself, well, I just entered my location, so why are you asking that question? But there's a reason, because they continue. They will say, I'm stuck in traffic, it's going to take a long time to get to you, or there is traffic right now, so instead of, for example, 50 lire, it's going to be 200 lire. Shall I still come and collect you? And this is how they take advantage of you, the tourist, because they're charging you 3 times, 4 times the amount outside of the app. And most unfortunate tourists will accept, because they don't have no idea. They trust the driver and they think, oh wow, okay, it must be traffic. But the thing is that Uber already calculates traffic. It calculates journey time and traffic and how busy the roads are in coming to your final pricing. But the drivers, taxi drivers, are taking advantage of that. So you need to fight back. In that case, I always cancel. I never continue with the journey with that driver. I cancel and make another request. But unfortunately, 7-8 times out of all of your requests end up in the same situation. You get a message first saying, where are you? And then it continues. So that's the downside of Uber. Otherwise, Uber in Istanbul is amazing. It's great because you can control and manage everything. But as long as there aren't unscrupulous taxi drivers, and that's the main issue. It's simple to download offline maps. Go into your Google Maps app, click on your profile, click on offline maps, then click on select your own map, and whichever area you would like to zoom in or zoom out for your desired location, you select it, press download. Once the download is complete, you can access Google Maps, enter your origin destination, and the route and journey, everything will come up as normal, as if you're online, but actually you're now offline and you don't need to use data. In any event, I hope you enjoyed. I've also given a link to, in my opinion, the best car rental company you can rent a car from in Istanbul. Best rates, best prices, and the best service. I hope you enjoyed this series. Take on board my advice, be safe and enjoy Istanbul.